See, I know enough to wait until I hear the recording in progress. Uh, Good evening, everyone. Welcome to our April 27th work session agenda. We actually have a work session agenda, and then at the end, we'll do a special legislative agenda. Um, but we'll do that at the end because I think it makes more sense that way. It's really administrative. It's part of the introduction process for the tax rate, the CIP budgets, as well as formally excusing absences of council members. And so figure let's get through our work agenda first, and then we can touch on that towards the end. So bear with us. We'll definitely try to keep this moving. So with that, we do have an agenda ahead of us, in front of us. Are there any amendments to the agenda or stated conflicts of interest for any of the agenda items? We'll have a couple presentations and then 4 main work session items and then reports.
I have neither.
Thank you, council member. Okay, seeing and hearing none. Let's get into it then. So the first presentation we have is the FY27 proposed operating and CIP budget. And so I know we've read these over the last 2 weeks. And so there are some edits to the proposed budget, some of the format changes. So we'll walk through that.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor and members of the council and the community. I want to take a few minutes to walk through this memo, and then the town staff team is available for questions. As the mayor said, there are some edits that have been made to the budget, as well as some formatting changes. And then the second part of this memo is to address questions that came up during the public hearings. If we just scroll through the memo, the first is CIP format changes. And so what we heard at a public hearing and conversations after that was we need to make sure that we explain things more thoroughly with this new format. And so we've pulled out an example here. We're just calling it project 1 through 4 for a project number. And this is just to serve as an example. So we have a total project cost that may be over many years, several years. And then we have funds on hand. So how much money is currently in that project? And then new funding request. So there's new funding for fiscal 27. And the available funding, total available, would be the funds on hand plus new money. And the planned spending, now in this case, it happens to equal the new funding, but that won't always be the case. It may be more or less in terms of the planned funding in the next year. And then what we project will end the year at. The halfway down that list, you see new funding, fiscal 2027 with the asterisks. The column to the right is in response to that asterisk or related to it. And so this is to provide further information on where the new funds are coming from. So in this case, there's no general fund transfer. There is a confirmed grant. There's no debt, and there's no other. And funds could come from other sources that aren't grants and that. So, and then what that total funding request is. So are there any questions on what it is we've tried to do here, to capture, to further explain this?
Thank you. Any questions from council? I personally, I think it's helpful. It gives sort of a firm accounting in terms of for a particular project. One, the sources of the new money, which is called out so that you don't have to read it in the overview of it, and then also what we spend for this year, what's been in the project. So I think it helps clarify a lot of the questions that came up. But if there's any other thoughts or questions from council on this.
And for clarity, Mr. Mayor, we would still have a project description
Yeah.
There will still be the banner that shows the progress along with the project as well.
Mr. Mayor,
Councilman.
thank you. Thank you for these changes. Maybe you'll get to this later, but we had also discussed some mismatches between the expected completion of programs and like the remaining funds that were allocated. Is that reflected somewhere? You said that some changes had been made, but they weren't reflected in the document we had access to.
Correct. Yes. So tonight, what we wanted to do is make sure you're fine with this. And then we will be updating the budget document. And when we update the budget document, the projected completion dates are still there. And we're making sure that those projected completion dates and the monies align.
Okay. When do you anticipate having the updated?
My hope is tomorrow at this time. We didn't want to update all the formats until we knew that the council was okay with this.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Any other comments from council? Any comments from the public? Can you come up?
Yes, thank you. Yeah, this is a lot of information now. It really does peel back the onion, but I was curious, are any of these categories that are now provided, especially the total project cost, are they considered estimated?
So the total project cost is an estimated cost. The funds on hand is the funds on hand. The new funding is that those are real numbers. But the planned spending, that's a projected number. So when it comes to actual dollars, those are hard numbers. But the total project cost, that's our best determination at the time. And the CIP project guide that accompanies this addresses those questions and defines what those terms are.
Great, thank you so much. Just some of those projects in the CIP are classified as ongoing when it comes to the project length. And I had questions about those in particular. If the FY27 budget for something that's ongoing, is there any kind of indication whether that's assumed to be the estimated cost on the ongoing part yearly?
Yes, so that will be defined in the guide.
Okay,
Yes.
thank you.
Thank you. Okay. So we're good with the format changes.
So the next section is a new project. So we had secured a grant to remove invasive species, $120,000. And we've been going back and forth with the source of these funds. And just within the last week or so, we have a plan. And so $120,000 grant is now being added to the budget. There's no match for this, but it's accounted for in your CIP summary sheet. The next is the additional funding for nonprofit partners. I would think of this as the social concerns discussion that we've had. And the staff recommend designating funds, and we've are proffering where these funds could go. And if I would say this, staff envision this being funded in the Community Development Fund. And so in order to introduce and in order to adopt the budget, the mayor and council don't need to designate these things tonight or even in 2 weeks. But this is staff's recommendation of where the money would go. But being paid out of the Community Development Fund, you would have flexibility to adjust.
Okay. Any questions or comments from council? on that? Does that make sense? The Community Development Fund has already been funded. It's a general pool of other funds that go towards community type grants. And so this would be an allocation out of that.
Yeah, Mr. Mayor,
Councilman.
one question. Thank you. This makes sense to me. Just to confirm, we'd still have the other amount allocated for the undesignated social. concern
Yes.
fund.
So in the operating budget,
Yeah.
those funds remain. And I believe that's like 21,000 and some change. So this more than doubles that. And from a staff perspective, I believe that's where majority of the council was leaning.
Okay, yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor,
Councilman.
I think this is the best of both worlds. I think it's a great recommendation from council or from staff. I feel like this gives us the freedom to do what we want to do or potentially could do while simultaneously establishing partners that we are helping to support in their efforts that align with our mission and vision. So I think this is just an incredible job by staff. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, let's go to the next one.
The next section, Mr. Mayor, we confirmed that the town will be receiving a reimbursement, claims reimbursement or a rebate from our health insurance provider. And so Legit has contacted us and it's $437,690. And the proposed budget, we've now added that in to go to OPEB. And OPEB again stands for Other Post-Employment Benefits. We had a discussion on this a week or so ago. And at the time of that discussion, I said it would be, in my estimation, the town wants to have between 750,000 and $1 million designated as OPEB. This check added to the current balance of 271 and some change gets us north of 700,000. So over the next few years, if the town can add 10,000 here, 20 there, then you're really in the range that you want to be in. And so this is a really significant thing. And I think it was Councilmember Lingua who brought up concerns about OPEB at the discussion. And this goes a long way towards that long-term liability.
No, that's well, first, great job by confirming the number. It's just tough to we wouldn't want to plan for a higher number only to be told that it's something less. So I know the work that went into confirming that. I appreciate that. I think it makes sense to sort of include it in the other post-employment benefits, since there was a large need in terms of to fill that. For clarity, these funds, when would these funds ever be drawn down from or drawn on?
They don't have to be drawn on. So as you see on the fund balance sheet in the budget, we have a variety of funds. And so you have the general fund. OPEB is really part of the general fund. And so it adds to the general fund balance, but it's been designated by the town as for OPEB. And by doing it this way, if there was some really pressing, catastrophic, I would say, event that the town needed to access additional funding, you're able to access this. Staff would recommend against it and that the fund should remain in as designated as OPEB until it's drawn upon by retired employees for healthcare.
Correct. And a person would have to be in service 20 years, a couple others,
Yes, sir. As defined in the town code.
Yep. Okay. No, it's maybe we'll get another of these every couple of years and that might get us there. But that's good. Any other questions or comments on this direction?
Mr. Mayor,
Councilman Mills.
really good news to start this meeting this evening. And I think that anything that we can do that allows us to be quality employers, I think we need to act in those steps. And I look at this as incredible news as we continue to develop our staff and post-retirement benefits. So this is excellent.
Thank you, council member. Okay, seeing no hands, let's go to the other sort of items. There were a few items of discussion that came up in public hearings that staff said they wanted to go back and follow up on. So we'll start with the cost of living adjustment.
Yes, Mr. Mayor. So on this, we were asked whether staff had considered higher cost of living increases and what that would look like. And so what you have in the memo is a breakdown. The recommended cost of living increase is to 2.5%. And from the staff team perspective, this is a good number, especially considering that employees can, with good performance appraisals, can receive an additional 2 to 2.5% according to the approved pay range plan, and we can stay in front of inflation. The difference in cost as you move up by 0.5%, basically 25,000, then it's 75, or it's 25,000 more, then 50,000 more, then 75,000 more with each 0.5%. The other things that we look at when we're trying to determine things is affordability and long-term sustainability. And in looking at things through those lenses, you also have to consider as salaries go up, as it says in the memo, you'll have perpetual increases because you're moving up on the pay range plan. So then the next increase is higher, as well as increases to retirement contributions, because that's a direct percent of the salaries, as well as the workers' compensation. That's tied to salaries as well, and then the town's portion of taxes paid. And so we're providing this information. Our recommendation remains unchanged.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And the additional context that to the untrained eye, it may seem like it's only 25,000 or 50,000, but it's the compounding other factors that go into it. Since everything is based off of salary, benefits increase, everything else goes into it as well. So thank you for at least doing the due diligence. I think it came from a spirit of wanting to make sure that we offer staff as much as we can afford for the work that they do. And so I appreciate you doing the due diligence on that. Any other comments or questions from staff?
Mr. Mayor.
Councilman.
Yeah, I appreciate the work done on behalf of this. I think ultimately behind that is that we want to give you, Mr. Town Manager, the tools that you need. I appreciate the staff recommendation at 2.5, but we are here to help you build the staff that you need and that you want. So don't hesitate to ask. Thank you.
That's greatly appreciated, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, council member. Any other comments on the COLA adjustment or the COLA? Okay. Let's go down to the next item, which was the community grant and other grant programs, the utilization summary.
Yes, so I'm going to turn this portion over to Ryan Shelton and Ms. Barnes. Mr. Shelton, if you want to take the first section, and Ms. Barnes can take the second.
Excuse me. I'd be happy to. Yes, good evening, Mayor and Council and members of the public. There were some requests for more information provided on the utilization of our grant programs at the recent budget hearing. And we have spoken with the grants manager, and she's provided us with these updated figures on our grant utilization. We expect these numbers to improve as we improve our processes next fiscal year and as we secure more staff to help promote these programs. I'm happy to answer any questions about the programs, but otherwise I'll turn it over to Deputy Town Manager Barnes.
Thanks, Ryan. The second list, just below the utilization summary of the town grant programs, are the community grants. So there's a specific section in the budget that goes directly to community grants, and they are awarded at 100% of the approved budget. So typically, based on documentation provided by the organizations, we will provide a stipend or a check in the amount here. So the first, we had the Hyattsville CBC, which is Riverdale Park Arts. That's part of our public art initiative. So each year we have a certain amount that goes just to the public art initiative. And then the town supports the summer patio concert series through Riverdale Park Arts. The town also supports Riverdale Park Farmers Market, Inc., which is our contribution to the farmers market that's held every Thursday in Town Center. The town's contribution to the volunteer fire department is $23,000, and that goes to Riverdale Fire Department, Inc. Each year, there are some Thanksgiving food baskets that are distributed by Passion and Compassion, Inc., and that's $7,000. Riverdale Elementary School also receives not necessarily a direct check, but they receive uniforms, money towards uniforms, coats, and parent engagement activities. I think the town actually orders the coats that they'd like, and we have them shipped to the school. There's also a birthday book project. This is a small amount of money, but it's a really great project. It gives RES students, so Riverdale Elementary students, a book on their birthday. So someone leaves the school with a gift, if you will, of a book on their birthday. So those are some of the entities that receive money through the community grant portion of the town budget. Please let me know if you have any questions or concerns.
Thank you. Any questions or concerns from council?
Mr. Mayor?
Councilman.
Thank you. On the grant activity summary, first of all, thank you for putting this together. I appreciate it. Yeah, no, thank you for that. I have a follow-up question on the grant activity summary. So I see the amount that was awarded for each. How much was in the budget for each of these originally?
So, Ryan, if I can take a stab at this, we do not budget for individual grant programs. Grant programs are funded out of two different funds. Community Development Fund pays for residential related grants. And so that could be emergency repairs, accessory structures, as you see, community spirit. And I'm not sure what the other programs are off the top of my head. But then in economic development, there's grants for businesses, and that's paid out of the Economic Development Fund. And so it's not like we create separate buckets for each grant program and try to predict how many fences are going to be replaced or how many emergency repair things. Everything's comes from that bucket. Now, we do make a projection on how much may be expended. Is that correct, Mr. Shelton, on the grant programs?
That's correct, yes.
And so, and I think that projection historically has been in the high teens to 20,000-ish. Is that also correct, Ryan?
That's accurate, yes.
Okay, thank you. Can I ask a follow-up quickly? So I see that that's $20,000 in the Community Development Fund supports community grants. Is that what you're referring to there? And further down on the page?
I believe so, yes.
And
Yes.
then the same thing, $55,000 under Economic Development Fund on the next page.
Yes.
Okay. So that those funds are not being fully used currently, at least in the last fiscal year. Is that right?
Pardon?
Based on the utilization summary, it looks like unless some of those funds are not accounted for here, they're not being fully utilized. Is that correct?
Correct, but they're still in the fund. So unlike the operating budget where the funds expire, these funds remain in the fund.
They roll over.
They roll over, and so when we go through our budget balancing and budget developing process, then if we have less activity in one year, then our next year contribution to the community development fund,
Okay.
that goes down.
But you're always seeking to keep it at these levels noted here.
Well,
20,000 and
we every year we transfer funds into community development and we transfer funds into economic development. And you can look at the fund balance sheet and you'll see where funds have gone from the general fund into community development fund or the economic development fund.
Okay.
And so Ryan, is that 165? Is that what we added, or is that what?
I believe that's our planned expenditures
Okay.
for the Community Development Fund.
Oh, okay. Yep. And so I don't have the fund balance sheet in front of me. Mr. Jones, can you advise how much we have in the Community Development Fund and the amount we're transferring in?
Yes. Give me a second, please.
So Mr. Chelton has this pulled up. So actually, Mr. Chelton, if you raise the screen, the blue line you have at the bottom is our projected balances at the end of this fiscal year.
Mhm.
So no, you want to go the opposite way. You want to go down to the 27 activity, which is at
Yes,
the
I was
bottom.
going to show
Oh,
the titles, I guess, on the column headers here. So
okay. Yes.
we'll talk about the right things here.
And so in this year, we were moving 125,000 into the fund because we have a fund balance. If you go up to the blue line, Mr. Chelton.
Also 55.
Yeah, so we started at 55 is what we're projecting we'll have at the end of this year. We're adding 125. We're projecting expenses of 165. That leaves you 15 at the end of fiscal 27.
So I think in summary, the goal is for the most part is obviously trying to keep about the same amount of money in the fund on any given year. If activity is lower for 1 year, the next year, less money is transferred into the fund. That keeps it about the same. If more funds or more activity happens in a given year, we may transfer more, anticipating what the demand may be. This year, obviously, it's higher because there's $100,000 built into that for the
fire department.
fire department. So outside of that, this would be sort of an additional $25,000 added into a balance of 55,000. So, Councilmember Smith, I know your hand's been raised. Hopefully, it hasn't been raised for too long because the view that we're looking at right now doesn't show the hands. But I appreciate your patience.
Yeah, no problem, Mr. Mayor. Thank you. And thanks to staff for this. I just want to note the expenditure for the fire department here. Not on the slide that's on the screen, but on the one that we were at a couple slides ago. Just to say, really excited to see that and to make that contribution from the town with confidence in the leadership at the fire department. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Councilmember. And so that's maybe it's a different discussion, but I know from previous year we didn't dispense the funds, and it was, I guess, because it doesn't expire, it was remained in there, and so it's probably another conversation that we can take about what the grant would be, since we haven't expended the 23,000 or so last year, and so I think that plus this year, I think we were talking almost $50,000 for this year for that fund. So we can think about how best to maybe have a separate conversation on that.
And in a few minutes, we'll be going through the Community Development Fund and Economic Development Fund, the projected expenditures.
Perfect. Okay. Any questions on that, Councilmember? You're good? Okay. Just want to make sure we're all on the same page. All right, what's the next item?
The next, I'm going to ask Mr. Shelton, can you walk us through, it's a separate attachment, I believe. Yep, you got it. So this is on the Farmers Market Dollar Plus program that we rolled out last November to show the utilization. So Mr. Shelton, if you can just walk us all through this.
Absolutely, I'd be happy to. Yeah, so as the town manager mentioned, we've updated the Farmers Market Dollars program last November to include grocery stores in light of the uncertainty in the federal food assistance programs. Since making that change, we served 187 individual households, and we issued $27,800 in vouchers for use at those participating establishments. We had a redemption rate of 76%, which is the number of cards that were used in some way, even for a small amount. But the utilization rate was 98%. So we found that if a household had used any of it, they had used almost all of it. They had used 98% if they had used any of it at all. So there's about, roughly speaking, for the redemption rate, to put this in plain English, is to say about 25% never spent a dime of the card or the voucher that was provided, but the 76% who did spent almost all of it. They spent 98% of the card's value. And so $21,107 was spent by the recipient households. All right, and so we have a little bit more details, and this is included in the meeting materials in case anybody is interested in looking at the exact details here. But in general, we saw that there was a large amount of usage at the farmers or at the grocery store. Previously, the only participating vendors were the farmers market, but since expanding that in November to include grocery stores, we saw a significant increase in the amount of spending at grocery stores. There was 90% of the spending of the total was done at grocery stores. Specifically, the participating grocery stores were Save Mart, La Grande, and CC's. Yes, this is a graphical distribution showing how much each month was spent at either a grocery store or a farmer's market vendor. And if there are any questions about the information provided on the Farmers Market Dollar Plus program, I'd be happy to answer them.
Thank you, Director Shelton. Any questions from council? And the program currently now is paused, right?
That's correct. Yes. Yes, we had limited funds at the when we had paused the program, and there was some uncertainty about the future of those food assistance programs again, and so we wanted to make sure that we were ready in case those were withdrawn or otherwise unobtainable for our residents.
Okay, and then my last question is just around if we needed to activate it today, what do we have, like the balance of funds that that exists in the program?
Yes, so today there is $19,000 we can use that's ready to be used at a moment's notice, as it were, for the program. And the staff are suggesting, I think, in the next item of the presentation on the previous slide, to increase that by $81,000, by adding $81,000 to the Economic Development Fund, which is where the funds for this program come from. So that would bring us to a total of $100,000. If that $19,000 that's in there right now is not used before the new fiscal year, we would have $100,000 in total, starting in fiscal year 27.
Okay. See, Councilmember Smith, your hand is raised.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Not something that I think we need to break down here, but I'm wondering if we have access to the data of which particular grocery stores. I know we're working with a limited set here, but of those, how the breakdown of the money was spent there. And I asked because that seems like some useful data for like outreach targeting that we know that people who regularly use these programs significantly patron X establishment. That would be a good way to encounter people that we're trying to get some piece of information out or anything like that. But yeah, just curious if we have that information.
I think we would, specifically which grocery stores are most utilized. Is that roughly speaking what you're asking?
Or, I mean, if it's like even across all of them, that might not be as helpful. But if it's, 60% of it is used at this one particular place, I think that would be useful for outreach purposes of knowing, a large segment of the population of our community that Basis Foods and Security shops at this place. So if we need to distribute information to those people, that's a good place to encounter them.
Absolutely. We have that information, and I'd be happy to share that with the council.
Outstanding. Thank you.
Thank you, council member. Any other comments or questions from council? Okay.
Thanks.
Thank you.
So, Mr. Mayor, I'll go into the next section. Community development, Mr. Chelton confirmed that's our 165 is our projected expenditures. 20,000 supports the grant programs that are geared towards our residents. We put 20,000 here to support potential tree programs. The mayor and council had a presentation from the Sustainability Committee regarding various proposals. And so just for prudent planning, if the mayor and council direct that some sort of a program be stood up, we went ahead and added $20,000 here for a future program. And 100,000 has been discussed. This is to act as a line of credit to help the fire department administer their federal grant. And then as the deputy town manager spoke about, the 25,000 for specific nonprofits that would be designated by the mayor and council. Any questions on the anticipated expenditures out of community development?
Questions from council? Okay, no questions.
The next section, Economic Development Fund, as Mr. Shelton reminded us that as proposed, the budget includes hiring an economic development coordinator as well as a Main Street manager or Main Street coordinator position. So we do look for more outreach happening to the business community, and this is consistent with my budget message about needing to grow the commercial assessable base. And so we're going to say 55,000 for business grant programs, 18.5 for the is that pronounced Flav app?
That's correct. Yes.
And I'll have him, Mr. Shelton, take any questions on that. And as previously mentioned, adding $81,000 for the Farmers Market Dollar Plus program. So if there's not an emergency need to restand this up between now and June 30, we would enter the fiscal year with $100,000 available for the fiscal year. It's good to recall that our burn rate, Mr. Shelton, was in the mid-20s per month.
That's correct. Yes.
When this program was fully funded by federal dollars, so the 100,000 gives us four full months of offering the program. And then last year we had withheld the grant from the fire department as we worked through some things with the fire department, and so in addition to the fund or the grant found in the operating budget, there was 23,000 that we had designated. That was a conversation we had last June. And so we are looking to appropriate that. So in fiscal 27, it projects that the fire department would receive $46,000 in a grant from the town, 23 from operating, 23 from here.
Any questions from council?
Mr. Mayor.
Councilmember.
Thank you. Thank you for this additional context, and also thank you for putting together the utilization of the farmers market dollars program. That was useful. I support the changes that are being proposed in both the Community Development Fund and the Economic Development Fund. A few follow-on questions. One is these changes or these items, some of them were not originally reflected in the original budget. Is that correct?
I believe
$81,000.
oh, the 81,000 was not reflected. No.
Where are those funds coming from?
That's coming from a total transfer. So if you look on back to the fund balance sheet, is it 198,000, Mr. Jones, that we're transferring general fund to economic development fund?
Yes, that's correct.
Yes. So we're transferring $198,000 from the general fund to the economic development fund.
Okay, so those, but were they allocated for something else before? Like a different?
No, we're taking out of the general fund.
Okay.
And so, no.
Okay.
Yes.
What was my other question? Okay. My other question was, I wonder, so looking at the utilization, I'm back to the utilization, apologies, of the economic grant programs, which are the ones listed here, accessory structure grant and the emergency repair grant. Those are both economic development fund grants, right?
No, the emergency repair, well, there's
No.
a commercial side of emergency repairs.
Forgive me. What is included in the economic development fund grant program?
Mr. Chelton, if you could walk through the titles of the various grant programs.
Yes, I'd be happy to, but I think the easiest way that I keep track of which fund would fund each grant program is if the recipient is a commercial entity, then that's typically funded by the Economic Development Fund.
Yes.
And because those funds for the farmers market dollars, for example, they end up ultimately going to the grocery store, then that's
thank you.
That's why that's that way. But the accessory structure grant program, for example, ultimately goes to the resident to spend it on their fence. The check is written to the resident. So yes, I'd be happy to go through the
Let
grant
me
programs
rephrase my question just so I get to the information that I am actually interested in. So if the $55,000 funding the business grant programs, we're hoping more of that's going to be utilized this coming year because of this new hire in this area, correct? So I don't know, based on this information, how much has typically been spent out of those funds.
We can get that number for you.
If it's been fully utilized or not, is that information?
We can, it's not part of tonight's presentation, but that's information that we can put together for you.
I'm asking is that if it is far below 55,000, recognizing that we are hoping more will be utilized this year, I would be in favor of shifting even more towards the Farmers Market Dollars Plus program if it is well below the 55,000. That is just a thought, but I don't know where the numbers fall, obviously.
Yes.
Thank you.
And
And we have the flexibility. I think the overall thing is these are sort of earmarks for these funds, but they're not hard. They're not exclusive. It's not like an exclusive thing where we can only spend 81,000. Like that is where we are anticipating. To your point, if not a single business used any of the funds and we needed to start the farmers market dollar programs, we could, in a sense, say, let's actually use some of those funds because it's all within the same economic development fund.
And these are projected expenditures from that. I will say that staff will follow this plan. And, but as conditions change, we would be having conversations with the mayor and council like we did back in the fall when conditions changed and we took money from a variety of sources to stand up the Farmers Market Dollar Plus program.
I guess it would be nice, in my view, if at a certain point, we weren't just waiting for an emergency situation to provide Farmers Market Dollars Plus. I'm sure everyone would be in favor of that. I know we've picked certain periods of time because we don't have enough money in there, right? To do a continuous program. So that's where the question's coming from, recognizing your point. If we are in an emergency situation and we want to extend more than 4 months, we could potentially.
And-
Other funds. But I can leave it there. We don't have to belabor it.
If I could add something, Mr. Mayor,
Sure.
I think it's important for the council to know that these transfers are made in here from one-time dollars. And so we're taking money from general fund and we're saying we're going to move it into these other funds for these one-time purposes. So this does not envision recurring funding for the Farmers Market Dollar Program. It's not a sustainable revenue source. Because of how we managed last year, we were able to have funds to be able to distribute across other funds. But if in fiscal 25, if we had expended everything that was appropriated and our revenue projections were more on target, because we're very conservative, I think rightfully so, especially with revenue sources that aren't as reliable. So if those things happen, then in fiscal 28, there may not be 100,000 for this. It may be less. And then, so if the mayor and council wanted to continue one program over another, then value judgments would have to be made. Do we want to scale back our grant programs to be able to fund a different type of program?
Thank you. No, that makes sense. Councilmember Smith, your hand's raised.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I know it was mentioned that Mr. Shelton was going to discuss, I believe, the Flav app a little bit more. So happy to, just wait for that discussion for the answers for these. But I'm particularly, if we could emphasize discussion on how they, what their data practices and data security practices are, and also if we have consulted with local restaurants in town on this project.
Thank you, Councilmember.
Mr. Shelton, if you're prepared to answer that tonight.
I certainly not the data practices yet, but I'd be happy to invite them, and I know that they've expressed an interest in speaking in front of the mayor and council to explain their practices. So certainly I can schedule that sooner rather than later.
I would appreciate that because I just did a cursory review of their privacy policy, and there's not anything in particular that raises an alarm other than like areas where it's overly broad and leaves room for the vendor to fill in a lot of blanks there, and that does concern me. So would love to hear from them. Thank you.
Director Shelton, could you give like a quick overview of just the app? This is essentially like a loyalty program that restaurants can opt into, I'm assuming, and every time you purchase something and maybe provide a phone number, you get points, something like that?
It's very similar to that, yes. And other jurisdictions have used it, nearby College Park and Hyattsville, I believe. I know College Park, I believe it's also in Hyattsville, have used it, and they've actually assisted College Park with one of their Taste of College Park events. And we've asked them to explore that a little bit with the town and see how we could establish our own Taste of Riverdale Park. So that's some of the goal of working with the Flav app company. But again, I would certainly bring them before the council before moving forward with anything.
Okay, thank you. Appreciate that. Any other comments on the Economic Development Fund or Community Development Fund projected program funding? Okay. Good discussion. It was helpful to, one, understand. I think the spirit behind all this is we very much are interested in making sure that these funds are being used. We know that there's competing things in town in terms of like offerings. And so and things change. So if we go through a couple years where no one's really using a particular thing, it's good to know that the funds aren't sort of completely isolated to individual subcategories within an individual fund that we can shift. But I think it's a helpful reminder that, we only meet a certain amount of times a month. And so staff are using these documents and numbers as like their rule of thumb unless directed otherwise. And so maybe we can probably think of periodic check-ins, like maybe a half-year check-in or whenever it makes sense, where it's just like, hey, what are we doing? How are things going? And if we want to adjust the guidance, we can talk about that. Okay.
The last section on this memo, we were asked about improvements to the municipal center, the current one, the police department building, town hall, and the public projects and services building, especially looking towards the future with 6601 Baltimore Avenue potentially becoming the next municipal center. So I think most realistically, we are like 7 years to 10 years until full build out with this possibility. I'm a little concerned that the transfer of the building, which has been shared with us, could happen as soon as next year, may not happen until the next administration. So that would delay things. And but the projects that are in the proposed budget include the solar installation on the municipal buildings here, the stormwater improvements, an accessibility project connecting the police department building and town hall, and then improvements to the public projects and services yard needs paved. We need covered storage there, as well as some renovations to the public projects and services building. We have some work to do on the fire alarm, construction of a women's locker room and a restroom, and some other general improvements, and then completing the municipal center parking lot. And staff believe that all these projects are necessary and are proper investments in the current municipal center.
We'll talk about the transfer conveyance in another time, but appreciate you putting together a list of things that will definitely be needed in the next 7 to 10 years. And so I think the idea of I think making sure that was there anything that could be deferred if we needed to, and it seems like this list is all sort of pressing things that need to be done.
So one point of clarity, these are projects that are in the proposed budget. And so we would be moving forward on, well, some of these we're already moving forward on. We're halfway through the parking lot. That project's already started. We have grants secured for some of these other ones. And but things like having appropriate restroom facilities for our female employees, having an accessibility project, stormwater, these all hit those highest priorities of the town, and we have various grants involved in these.
Thank you. Comments from council?
Mr. Mayor, if I may,
Councilman.
Could staff please let us know when they see the completion of the improvements they were just talking about regarding the building for public projects?
I'm sorry, sir. I can't hear you.
When do you look at the completion deadline for these, what you've listed about the restrooms,
Well,
paving that you want to get.
So,
done there?
and we have to pull the CIP sheets, in 27, it's a new roof on a DPW, it's the solar panels on DPW, it's design work towards the women's restrooms and that. So the women's restrooms would not be completed in 28. They'd be completed in 28 or in 27. They will not be, but 28 or 29, the majority of these things. So you're still looking at a life of up to 8 years with us here. And it's something like on the restrooms and that's something that we should have had quite some time ago.
Thank you.
Go ahead,
No, I wasn't asked any other questions or comments.
Mr. Mayor. Thank you. First, I do have 2 questions about this, but I'm sorry to say, I did go back through the budget again, and I now have some additional questions I didn't have before, unrelated to these items. When should I raise those?
So,
At the end of this presentation?
however the mayor wants to handle that, my only comment would be this. We prepared this based upon the public hearings and questions to date. We are asking that the budget ordinance be introduced tonight. We have a meeting next week, and then 2 weeks after that. Amendments can occur to the budget between introduction and adoption. And so I would say there's time. And then I would defer to the mayor.
Ask your questions right now if you have them.
Okay, well, first, let me just start with these. Thank you for putting this list together. On the stormwater management, this was going to be one of my follow-up questions. The rain barrels, that's what you're referring to right there, the stormwater management.
Yes.
I'm in favor of this, obviously, but I was wondering, the cost of those, I think, was the estimated cost, and I know this will come back to the council once it is ready to be started, right? Was like 70,000 or 70,000. I know you may not know off the top of your head. And the questions I have, we can come back to. I'll just list them. I'm wondering what went into that cost. It just seems maybe high for rain barrels, but I would be interested to know what went into that. Then one on the DPW improvements, knowing nothing about what is involved in any of this. So caveat there. It seems like, in my view, prioritizing the restrooms and locker rooms is of a higher priority than the solar panels, as much as I am in favor of solar panels. So I don't know if it is possible to do that, but.
So if I may, and we have Director Lewis here, but so I believe it's about a $300 and some $1,000 grant we have for solar panels. Staff take all these various things into consideration as we plan things out. We need a new roof, and we need a new roof before we can put the solar panels on. And so we look at we have outside or external funding, I'll say, at no or little cost to us. We have to make improvements in order to make those things happen. But I want to assure the whole council, other than assure you that that person was speeding, I want to assure the whole council that staff look at these projects and consult with the engineers, and we try to sort through things and looking at workarounds and highest priorities and all that. And but with that being said, we always welcome additional input and questions.
Okay, thank you. Okay, let me just go through the other issues. And as I've said before, and thank you again for all of the time you have spent talking with all of us, but also with me about various questions I have had about the budget, is that my questions are coming from a place of wanting to understand, not of judgment or anything. So thank you for humoring me. So the initial questions that I have, one is around, I know I brought this up last time in one of the meetings. If we decided to do something around the trees, and I see the additional item that's been included in community grants. Thank you. I support that. I remembered that there is the tree management plan, and I wasn't here when that was completed, and I'm sure it is out of date now a bit. But I'm just wondering, in the budget and the various projects related to tree planting and maintenance and also removal, how does that square with what was laid out in the tree management plan? And if it doesn't square with it, why? I guess I'd be curious on that. Like in particular, the number of trees that are being planned for planting and then removal. And like how is the town weighing those new activities against maintenance of existing trees? I think there were some issues raised about how those needed to be better maintained, like more frequent watering or changes to mulching practices and things like that. So I'd just love to know more on that in terms of our current and longer term plan to move the tree management plan forward. So that was one big issue. And again, you don't need to speak to all of this now, but if we could have a follow-up.
Yes, and if we could pause for a second, I would say that all these things are part of the operations of the Department of Public Projects and Services. Director Lewis has presented in the past on the plan. As it relates to the budget, in the operating budget, there's a line item for tree maintenance, as well as when on the capital side, like for Adam and Emily Plummer Park, we have separate tree money there. It's money that we're getting from the county. But I would recommend that we schedule a future work session to discuss how we're approaching the high level goals of the tree management plan. And yes, that'd be my
That would be
recommendation.
useful. I think in particular, just the number of new trees being planted seemed a lot lower than it was in the past. So if any just context around that in
And
terms of how it relates to the budget, but I agree,
Yes.
a broader conversation, I'd really appreciate that.
and we and Director Lewis, if you can just confirm my next statement is true. I think one of the hardest or a challenge we have is finding a place to plant trees.
That's correct. That's absolutely correct.
And so we need to identify places that we can plant trees.
Okay. Okay, that's helpful. Then the other category was the composting line item. I was curious what was planned around that. I know there had been past discussions and the one option was deemed kind of too expensive, right, for the town. So I was wondering but it shows up in two different places, I think, in the budget.
So as it relates to the budget, we're keeping some money in there. We're still sorting through how we can have the best program possible. What you're referencing is we had explored having curbside, but then we looked at participation numbers in that and determined that that was not the best use of those funds. We have, Director Lewis has had extensive conversations with Hyattsville about whether we could participate in their program. And that's at a cost. And then I believe we've had a recommendation from a resident about possibly just offsetting the cost and have a program where funds could be used to promote composting, individual composting. And so from staff's perspective, we would come back to you on this.
Okay.
And not have those sorts of things figured out for the budget, but rather that we're allocating some funds so we have some options.
Okay. Okay. So they wouldn't be spent unless there was a plan, that will be come up with later.
Yes.
But we don't know
Yeah.
now. And the 15, I think it was 15K that was expended, or it looked like it was expended based on the numbers this fiscal year. It said expenditures 15,000 for composting in this fiscal year. And I wasn't sure,
Well, I think that's what we have budgeted in
but
this
it
fiscal.
wasn't expended.
I'd have to ask Mr. Jones to pull up how much has been expended from there. But we would be happy to put this on a work session, come back
Okay.
and talk about options.
Thank you. That would be great. Then the last thing is this relates a bit to where to plant trees. And I do look forward to a work session on this, but there was a mention of a GPS application that
Yes.
isn't being paid for in this coming fiscal year, according to the current budget. I might be wrong about what this is, so please correct me if I am, but is this the kind of program that could be used to identify where current trees are planted and where maybe potential spots?
So the short answer is I believe so. Director Lewis can speak to the overall plan and having, I may be using the wrong term, geolocation of the town trees, as well as geolocation of many aspects in the town.
Okay. So is it possible that we would still renew that then if after the work session conversation, we decided is useful?
Yeah, so I think, and Ivy, if you want to chime in here, I think you've had conversations about this with the county, and we would need to utilize their software. Is that correct?
Actually, the new contract we signed recently for the recent road assessment project, the platform can accommodate our tree survey data. We have the coordinates. I've already talked with the point of contact there to load the tree data onto that platform so that we could see the geographic distribution of our trees and the various species and what the total population is and the diversity of trees in our community, which the plan recommends that we pay close attention to, because that combination actually provides the best environment for survivability of the trees. So we will have the means of mapping that data and flipping on layers or turning on layers for different species of trees. And so we won't need, in fact, didn't have access to the county's tree plotter survey. That's where the data was originally located or loaded for use by the project contractors. But we didn't have access to that. In fact, the county is looking for a new system to store its tree data, and it will maintain the town's data as well, but we don't have direct access to it. But we will through this Civil Solution, which is the name of the corporation or the company that did the road assessment. We will have access to that information geographically on that platform in just a couple of weeks.
Okay,
Does that
great.
address
So you're
that question?
you're planning to do this. It sounds-
Absolutely.
Okay.
Because
Okay.
right now we don't have a
Right.
mapping
Okay.
platform to display
Okay.
the data.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
And Ivy, thanks for that update. I learned something new. Ivy and I were unable to meet last Thursday. We normally meet Thursdays for all these debriefings. But yeah, this is good news.
And just to close the loop on that, so essentially, there won't be a need for additional funds to support this because it could be included in sort of an existing contract that we have.
I would
That's
say,
correct. I'm sorry, John.
well, yeah, that's our understanding now. I would not want to modify a proposed budget until we have this figured out.
Okay.
It is presently funded, and for as long as we maintain a contract with this company, we'll have access to the data on their platform, including updated information that we provide to them over time.
Any other
Thank you.
questions?
No, I'm done for now. Thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions from council? All right.
So that walks us through that memo, Mr. Mayor. If there's any other questions on the proposed budget and the things that we tried to present this evening.
No, thank you. That brings us to public comments. And so we have a hand raise online, and then we'll go to the room. Nova Johns. Ms. Johns, you are recognized. You're muted if you are trying to speak. Okay, we'll go to in the room, and then we'll check back with Ms. Johns. Ms. Katz.
Thank you. As a member of the town's green team, I'd be remiss if I didn't ask regarding the new project, the invasive species $120,000 grant. Will there be a place or time that we can find out more about that project and those funds will be used for?
Yes, ma'am. Well, actually, I believe there's already a plan, but yes, we'll schedule a time to share that.
Okay. And then my second thing is just a quick concern. The property, the vacant commercial property at the corner of Rhode Island and Queensberry, that's on the southwest corner where the Tapas used to be, has some significant garbage that's been there for a week or so on the property on the Rhode Island side of it. There used to be some garbage cans there, but then they disappeared, and now there's just a couple of bags of what look like garbage and some brush. I was hoping that could be cleaned up a little bit by someone, somewhere, somehow. And then thirdly, which kind of segues into Ms. Johns, is I saw an ambulance with Riverdale Park on the side of it the other day driving down the road. I got really excited. I didn't realize we had an ambulance back on the road again. So that was it. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Johns, are you available for your public comment? Your hand is still raised? You can get off mute and join the show. Okay. Nova, can you hear me? All right, how about this? Okay, let's see. We'll try to unmute you. All right.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
It worked. I apologize. New laptop, and I had to go into all the settings to allow me permission. I apologize. Yeah, so I just wanted to, Nova Johns, president, and also Ward 3 resident. I just wanted to thank you all for your commitment and believing in us, the entire team at Riverdale Volunteer Fire Department. I was reflecting yesterday when I was doing work on a bunch of things for the fire department. I seen the town manager's letter from almost exactly a year ago asking for recommendations on what to do. And I'm just so proud of us and you all believing in us and also practicing good governance and being concerned and holding those funds, but also not dispersing those funds as you all were originally planning to do to the neighboring departments. Although I felt they were absolutely deserving of those funds, I could not see us moving forward with any improvements without you all's funds. And that could not have been done without that planning. reviewing fiscal year 25's call volume. And as we close out fiscal year 26, I just wanted you all to know for just call volume alone, we have improved over 500%. And that's just call volumes. We've sat at the firehouse in service for 12 plus hours and have not run a single call. So yes, but just in numbers, and you can't schedule emergencies, but we have improved, and the volunteer people coming and seeing us, the visibility, and also the conversations that we've had and been able to have with our neighboring departments, Hydesville, Bladensburg, College Park, and us still being relevant and part of the conversation, and them wanting to lean into us as they see us doing good things. And they're like, what are you doing? What's the secret? So to see that they look at us as a role model now, being improving so fast without even tapping into the grant money yet, that people want to be here, and that these young people are traveling an hour and a plus to be here in Riverdale Park, and they love being here. They love seeing you guys. They love seeing the town people. It's been huge. So I just wanted to say thank you. That's all.
Thank you. We appreciate you,
Mr. Mayor.
council member.
Ms. Johns, I just wish you could have been here for a moment. Your joy, your audible joy, brought smiles to the face of everybody in this room. And it's exactly that kind of energy that is going to get us up and running and successful again. Your joy is palpable. It brings joy to us. And this is just awesome. So we are tremendously proud to hear this. Thank you.
I can put my shoes on and be there in like 5 minutes. I'm just kidding.
It's not necessary, but you're always welcome. Thank you. Any other public comments? Okay, seeing no hands raised, we'll go to our work session agenda items. The first one is a street closure on 46th Avenue between Riverdale Road and Oliver Street on May 16th with a rain date of the 17th.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, members of the council. No action is requested tonight. Staff are seeking input and feedback regarding a requested street closure for 46th Avenue between Riverdale Road and Oliver Street on Saturday, May 16th from 8:30 a.m. to 3 o'clock p.m. for a community yard sale. The rain date for the event is the next day, Sunday, May the 17th. Staff were contacted by Leslie Brothers of Oliver Street requesting the closure of 46th Avenue between Riverdale Road and Oliver Street. This is for a community yard sale. Ms. Brothers reports that the residents that are impacted by the street closure are aware and are supportive of the event. Chief Turner did not report any public safety related concerns regarding the requested street closure, and the council took similar action in October 2024 for a community yard sale in the same area. So this looks like we're building a tradition here of a community yard sale on this block. It is a very busy weekend with other activities planned. And so the residents are requesting a street closure for that block, if the mayor and council are willing to approve that. Thank you.
Thank you. High level thoughts in terms of this, support or objections from council member?
Consent agenda.
Okay, consent agenda. Council.
Agreed. Anything we can do to build community. This makes our community unique. It's an opportunity to get out and walk around and get to meet your neighbors. I love this kind of stuff, and I agree. Consent agenda.
Anyone advocating for the cars? No. I won't. I'll abstain from that. No, okay. I think we're on board. This is great. This is fantastic. Okay. Next up, we have an item on another street closure for a special day. I won't steal the thunder from staff.
Certainly. Good evening again. It's definitely a good night when I have two street closures on the agenda. Like this is lots of fun things planned. This is a requested closure for the town center parking lot. This is the same closure as we had last year. So it's from midnight to 5 p.m. on Saturday, June the 13th for Trolley Trail Day. This event is scheduled for Saturday, June the 13th, and it is just, it's the 5th annual Trolley Trail Day event, and it's just continued to grow year after year. We have lots of visitors, not just residents that come out for the event, but we have folks all along the trolley trail that join us for that day. I've always, as I always say, I ordered good weather for that event, so let's hope that comes through. We do have a very active hub. We have lots of kids activities, and we have groups that come out to present. Our sustainability committee is part of that. They always have a really cool activity or something neat for the community to get involved in. So this is a really great event. It's grown year after year. We're very proud of our hub. And again, it's from 11 to 3, our specific time frame on Saturday, June the 13th. The closure is from 12 to 5, and it's the approximate footprint of the similar to the footprint of the farmers market, just those front spaces, and then some protection in the back.
Councilmember Smith, you had your hand raised. We'll go to you first, and we'll go to Councilmember Lingler.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you for the details there, Ms. Barnes. Do we get to know the T-shirt color in advance, or do we have to wait until June 13th to be surprised?
I do not have any inside information yet on the T-shirt color, but I'll see what I can find out. The plans are really ramping up, and those T-shirts are super popular. So
no, I ask you things that I know I'm going to get questioned about by my constituents. People want to know.
Absolutely.
Get there early to get the T-shirt, and good for them. It's a good reason to get there. This is great. Couldn't be prouder to support this great event for the town and for Ward 1. One just slight correction on you there that you mentioned that we have a really great hub. I think it's important to say we have the best hub of anyone on the trolley trail, and that's thanks to you, Ms. Barnes, and our wonderful staff and everybody that pitches in from the community and the green team and all the other folks that show up to make this a great event. Thanks.
Thank you, Councilmember, for your consistency. I think the minutes reflect that question is every year, and it's a valid one. Councilmember Lingler.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. Just want to get a clarification. When you say 12, you mean midnight? Okay, not noon, but 12.
Correct. I'm sorry. It is
midnight till 5 p.m.
That helps us with not having to move cars. So if we block off at midnight, typically we won't have too many cars that are there that no one likes to have to tow any vehicles. So the best thing to do that we found is to close it at midnight to minimize that impact.
Okay, good. And Mr. Mayor, I, for one, am glad that Ms. Barnes does not know what the color of the T-shirt is this year, because I do have a 10 spot down at the MGM Grand on Chartreuse. So
yes, we can put this both to the consent agenda. I think that was my take from that. Appreciate it. Okay, moving to the next item, the FY26 undesignated social concerns line item.
Right, we just have a couple more items from me. This item was discussed at our budget public hearings, but this is the time of year when we typically talk about the funds that are remaining in the undesignated social concerns line item. So no action is required tonight. No action is required actually next week. We just need to do this before the end of the fiscal year. Just going back in time, just to give a brief history, the approved budget included $21,500 in the undesignated social concerns line item. The council on October 27th authorized a donation to $5,000 to CASA, $5,000 to Prince George's County Immigrant Rights Collective, and $5,000 to Passion and Compassion, Inc. We found that, so a total of $15,000. We found that one of the groups, the Immigrant Rights Collective, could not accept that money. So the mayor and council approved transferring just the $5,000 into the Farmers Market Dollar Program. So we currently have $6,500 remaining. And this is just a discussion item for the mayor and council on how they'd like to use the remaining funds. So again, no action is requested or required tonight. Staff are happy to support the council if they need any additional research done or anything like that. But that's what remains currently in that line item. And we just need to take action before the June 30th, the end of the fiscal year.
Thank you. Comments from council?
Mr. Mayor?
Councilmember Worsnop?
Thank you. Thank you for this information. Just wanted to put out a suggestion to designate these funds also to CASA. I know we have given to them already, and we are planning to give 5,000 more if we go along with the plan presented now for next fiscal year. But I would support giving the remainder of these funds also to CASA.
Thank you. Councilmember Smith?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I was going to suggest either the same as Councilmember Worsnop or the Farmers Market Dollars program. If there's consensus for all of it going to CASA, that would please me as well if we want to go that direction. I do see my colleague from Ward 5 in the chat has another suggestion with an organization that I'm not immediately familiar with, so would love to hear more about that. But absent any other good suggestions, I think CASA is certainly a worthy organization for this.
Yeah, I just put in a chat, sorry, because I had loud noise in the background, but do we ever consider LAYC, which is the Latin American Youth Center right next to William Wirt Middle School? I know they work with Riverdale Elementary when they are doing the food distributions, I believe either Tuesday or Wednesday. Have we ever considered them?
We can do some research on them, but thank you for the suggestion. That's a good one.
Yeah, that would be really nice. They've been in Riverdale for a long, long time, even since my daughter was in middle school and she's 22 now. And they work along with Parkdale High School. I'm not sure if they're still there because I had a friend of mine who said she's no longer with them because of some budgeting issues. She was laid off. And I know they're right next to William Wirt, and I know they still come to Riverdale Elementary to help for the food distribution. So I would suggest them highly because since I've been here, I've never heard of them being mentioned at all.
Thank you, Councilmember.
You're welcome.
Justin, good stuff. Councilmember Lingle?
Yeah, I'd totally forgotten about them, and I know that they do a substantial. I remember them doing a substantial amount of work at William Wirt, and it's my remembrance also that number of students after they complete their years here at Riverdale Elementary, one of the schools that they do funnel into is William Wirt, and then on to Parkdale, or Bladensburg, one of the two, depending. So I think that does make sense to be able to look at how we could possibly help them if, once staff looks into and reports back to us.
Thank you, Councilmember. So we will definitely add that to the list of recommendations. I think if Mike, let me know if this is correct. I think if for whatever reason we can't go with them, we're okay with defaulting to CASA. Right? That makes sense. Yeah, CASA has, we have the additional funds, but just more so for the 6,500 that we have right here.
Mr. Mayor.
Councilmember.
I would certainly support funding LAYC. I am familiar somewhat with that organization now that I've heard the acronym spoken out. Absent, any concerns there, defaulting to CASA sounds great. But I would love to be able to add a new a new to us organization for funding this as well. So thank you to Councilmember Ramos for bringing that to our attention.
Thank you. Okay. We have our staff have enough feedback from that. You're good?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Last one is, minutes are important. So let me not say the last. Maryland Municipal League legislative action requests for 2027 already.
Mr. Mayor, members of the council, no action is requested on this item tonight. This is more of just an informational type item. So now that the General Assembly session has wrapped, it's time for the Maryland Municipal League to think about legislative action requests for next year. There is a form linked to this cover memo that will be due May the 31st. Something that's a little bit new, I don't recall this from my time with the league, but each LER submission must be approved by the municipality's elected body or the full MML affiliate membership. So this would be an agenda item for the mayor and council if you choose to submit a legislative action request for the next Maryland General Assembly session.
Thank you. They're getting more formal about this stuff, which is okay. Are there particular things that we, top of mind for me, obviously, I would say is the ball was started in terms of like finding revenue opportunities for municipalities. I think I think that should be added to the list of continuing that work and making sure that MML continues to support. First it was like a work planning group. Continue keeping that top of mind. Are there any other legislative priorities that we would want to have MML think about? Anything that comes to mind now? We can think about it and come back, but the deadline is interesting because that basically puts us at when is our, I guess because of the Memorial Day, our work session, which would have to be a special legislative session, would be the 18th of May?
Correct. And we will have a special legislative meeting that night to adopt the budget. So if the mayor and council would like to consider a legislative action request or submitting a legislative action request, the timing would work out well. It's just the discussion component of it would be a little bit rushed, although we could add it to next week's agenda if the mayor would like that.
Okay. Think about it. That's your homework. Okay. Thank you. Next up, we have minutes. Hopefully folks are able to review the minutes. And hearing no objection, we'll add it to the consent agenda. Okay. All right. That wraps up our work session discussions. Again, for those keeping score at home, we will have a special legislative agenda after this. It should be quick. We're somewhat doing decent on time. I believe there's no unfinished business items or new business items. And so next we'll go directly to reports. I'll start with the mayor's report and we'll keep this brief. One, I know April's challenging in the sense that there's a lot of meetings, especially being on council. This is always a challenging time because pretty much every Monday we've been meeting in some capacity or not, but it's worth it. I appreciate the questions. They may seem annoying, but no, they help articulate your thinking. And I encourage everyone to, pour through the budget, get an understanding of it, ask questions for clarity. This is the time to do it. One, item in terms of, as I think of it now, talking to council member from the 4th Ward about sort of health disparities and sent me a podcast about the opportunity of, examples in Michigan of, providing funds to women who are pregnant and up to the first year of a child and sort of the health benefits of that. And that's something that it's a great idea. As a town, we probably couldn't contribute too much to it, but these are things we'll talk about from MML's perspective. What are things that we want to push them to have the state lean into? This is our opportunity to try to be bold, right? I don't know about you all, but I know for me personally, sometimes it can be a little tough when, we're constantly reminded of the realities of sort of the scope and the size of our budget and our impact. We have our moments where we can really impact, but there's a lot of times when it's, we're contributing. We'd love to give more than, $25 per household per week for the farmers market program, but we have limited funds. We'd love to have that be a continuous program, but we have limited funds. The state does not have the same level of obstacles. Obviously, it's a challenging budget cycle, but they are asking these requests now because they want to spend the entire summer and fall crafting what the agenda is. And so I encourage everyone to be bold in their vision in terms of what could be done. And if there are examples of other states that have done stuff, if you read an article, let's pull some of those ideas together. Because I think the reality is you'd be surprised at how few municipalities, I'm sure, will, especially now if it's a formal process, will actually submit something and vote on it and submit it. And so the vocal minority tends to lead the day in these type of things. And so let's set a good example and try to figure out stuff that we can do. And then lastly, would just say I echo the excitement of our volunteer fire department. I think when I first became a council member, one of the first questions I had was just, what's going on with the fire department? And first I had to figure out, why do we have volunteer fire departments in Maryland? When you're growing up in New Jersey, that wasn't really a thing. And so the more I've learned, the more I've seen the change in leadership and the excitement there, I think there's a great opportunity to have a really great discussion about their plan, how as a council and community we can support that. And it's something that I know it's been in the works for a while. Me and President Johns have been going, trying to find a time that works to sort of meet with them and give some of my ideas. But soon we'll have that discussion and we'll make sure we prioritize a lot of time and a work session agenda for that. But I'm excited about it. And it's good to see anytime an ambulance or, a truck rolls by. I know that, one, we're grateful for the service, but also know that a lot goes into even being able to be open and run that call. So it's good to see. And with that, I'll yield the rest of my time to the town manager for his report.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just a few things this evening. The Anacostia Watershed Society's Earth Day cleanup was held last Saturday. There were 15 volunteers, collected 54 bags of recycling and 11 bags of trash. Well done, and special thank you to everyone who participated in that. A reminder that the calendar year 2025 financial disclosure statements are due this Thursday. If they have not previously been submitted, they need to be emailed to the deputy town manager by close of business on Thursday. Next week, May 4th, there's a public hearing. It's our tax rate public hearing. That's at 7 p.m. And there are no proposed changes to the town's tax rates. The May work session is on Monday, May 18th. It's an early Memorial Day this year. And so May 18th is the work session. We'll have a special legislative meeting that night as well for the adoption of the budget. I do want to share with the council, I have a medical procedure, and so I'll be out the 18th and the 19th. I'll be back on Wednesday, the 20th, but the deputy town manager, Ms. Barnes, will be handling things during my absence. The first walk and talk is Saturday, May the 9th at 9:30. We'll be sending out some information shortly on the area we'll be walking and where we will be asking people to meet. And then lastly, if anyone on the council intends to attend the Ravenswood Community Forest Grand Opening on May 15th from 5 to 7, please let the deputy town manager know. And that's all I have this evening, Mr. Mayor.
The date on the Ravenswood is May 15th.
It's May 15th, 5 to 7.
Thank you. Had a question. I forgot. Council member?
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. I was wondering if staff would be able to give an update regarding a recently finished public works project, that being the speed humps along Taylor Road. There was brought to staff's attention about some concerns about the size and shape of the speed humps, also as to whether or not they're going to be effective in deterring speeding along that route.
Yes, Director Lewis had to leave the meeting, and so I don't have an update for you without her here. And but that's something that we can get for you, sir, and report back to the council.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you. I'll remember my question at some point. Let's go to council ward reports. Councilmember Smith, Ward 1.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Nothing to report tonight. Thanks.
Thank you, Councilmember. Councilmember Foe, Ward 2.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Mr. Mayor, I will yield until our legislative.
Thank you, Councilmember Lingua, Ward 3.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'll be affording a report on May 4th.
Okay, thank you, Councilmember. Councilmember Worsnop, Ward 4.
Thanks, Mr. Mayor. I'll just follow up quickly on the program you mentioned in case anybody wants to look into it. It's called RX Kids in Michigan. And obviously the town could not fund this on its own, but I am very, very interested in looking more into how this program was funded in various municipalities in Michigan, and maybe it is something that we could consider for the MML legislative priority once I found out more about it. I'm not sure how likely it is that it would move forward this year, but maybe it could be at least on the agenda for us to push forward in future years, but happy to come back with more information if folks are potentially interested. It was a relatively, even though too big for the town, but relatively small investment per pregnant person, but yielding pretty notable outcomes. So of potential interest for the state, especially given the large disparities in maternal health and newborn outcomes in PG County in particular. So I'll leave it there, but happy to talk more about it in future. Thanks.
Thank you, Councilmember. Anything's possible. Just have to lead that it should happen. Okay, Councilmember Ramos, Ward 5.
Hey, good evening, everyone. Hope everyone is doing well. I really don't have much to say on my report. I'm still actually working with Riverdale Elementary. One of my biggest things is, and I'm trying to get as much insight on how the food bank is working, how we can donate a little bit more to them, and what necessities they have. Another thing that I have on my to-do list is actually go visit William Work Middle School as well and work along with them, because since I got approved through the fingerprints and volunteer, I thought it was just for Riverdale, but they explained to me that actually I can go to the other schools that are located in Riverdale, Maryland. So one of my goals right now is to align with the schools so that I could work with the teachers, get familiar with the parents, and then they feel comfortable with me. So far, Riverdale Elementary has been doing a great job including me in things, but not as much as I want to. Hopefully this week I will speak with Sandra, who is one of the teachers at Riverdale Elementary. She's actually been helping me a lot on how I can communicate with the parents and build that trust with them. And I've been working very close as well with the property manager at the Swift, because he does a lot of events for his tenants. And I'm trying to see how he does it. So maybe I could work with Park Tanglewood and they can do the same thing, because the biggest issue that we've been having in Park Tanglewood is with the tenants just don't feel too trustworthy with the landlord because of everything that's going on. So not much of a report, but that's my insight for right now. Hopefully I got more on Monday.
Thank you, Councilmember. And Councilmember Kalan, Ward 6.
Yeah, good evening, everybody. Mr. Mayor, good evening. I
Good evening.
think I have to postpone my own report until the 4th of May. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. And so with that, we will adjourn their meeting. We will immediately go into a special legislative meeting for the couple items, and then we'll really adjourn. So with that, we'll adjourn that meeting at 8:47, and then call to order at 8:48, our special legislative meeting. The agenda that we have in front of us is basically our introduction of an ordinance regarding the FY27 operating and CIP budget and tax rates. This is the introduction to it. And then the second item is because of our rules, we have to formally excuse absences for any council members. And so we want to just document that so that it's on the record. So we have that. Any amendments to the agenda? Any stated conflicts of interest? It's legislative, so let's approve the agenda. Is there a motion to approve the agenda as displayed?
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Councilmember Foe and second by Councilmember Smith. Any discussion on the motion? Okay, seeing and hearing none, we'll go to roll call vote. Councilmember Smith?
Aye.
Councilmember Foe?
Aye.
Councilmember Lingua?
Aye.
Councilmember Warsnop?
Aye.
Councilmember Ramos?
Aye.
Councilmember Kalan?
Aye.
And I vote aye as well. The motion passes 7-0. All right, first order of business is public comments. Any public comments as part of the legislative meeting? Okay, seeing none in the room and seeing no hands raised online, we'll go to our first legislative action item, which is the introduction of ordinance 2026 OR1.
Mr. Chelton, if you can put the ordinance up on the screen, please. Thank you.
Okay. Should we just need someone to introduce it, right? So is there a
Yeah, so our history is that someone would just say, Mr. Mayor, I move to introduce, and then read that section there that's displayed to officially inform the council and the community of what's being undertaken or considered to be undertaken.
Mr. Mayor,
council member?
we'd like to introduce ordinance 2026-0R-01, the fiscal year 2027 budget and tax rates for the purpose of adopting operating and capital budgets for the town of Riverdale Park for the fiscal year beginning July 1st, 2026 and ending June 30th, 2027, setting rates of real and personal property and operating property taxation for such fiscal year and levying such taxes in matters generally relating to the adoption of the town budgets and levying of taxes and setting of tax rates for the town of Riverdale Park for the fiscal year beginning July 1st, 2026 and ending June 30th, 2027.
Thank you, Councilmember, for the introduction. Okay. And we'll go to our next item, which is a motion to excuse absences of council members. And so like I mentioned before, the background here is anytime a council member misses 3 meetings in a row, that is grounds for vacating of the seat, unless like formally excused by council. And so I know verbally we've talked about it, but this is sort of good record keeping to make sure that we excuse absences. And so we've had okay, we have it laid out here. And so we have two different sort of motions here. The first one is regarding Councilmember Kalan, who was out for a few sessions that we've talked about for, the observance of Ramadan. And then the second is Councilmember Ramos also missed 3 sessions. And so let's introduce the first, and then we can have a discussion on it. So is there a motion for that first motion?
Mr. Mayor?
Councilmember.
I'd like to motion to excuse the absences of Councilmember Fallon on February 23rd, March 2nd, and March 25th, 2026 for religious practice.
Seconded.
Motion by Councilmember Foe and second by Councilmember Worsnop. Is there any discussion on this motion?
Mr. Mayor, if I may.
Councilmember.
Okay, now according to this, at our February 2nd legislative meeting, Councilmember Calhoun requested to be excused from the meetings, any meetings from February 18th to March 19th. I want to make sure I have that. Is that correct?
That is the time frame for Ramadan.
Okay. And what I'm seeing listed here, within that time frame are the meetings for saying it's February 23rd, March 2nd. Really, the only one meeting that's falling outside of it is March 25th. So, according to what I'm reading here, really, Councilmember Callan missed only one meeting.
Excuse me.
Mr.
Excuse me, Mr. Mayor.
Councilmember.
They said I missed one meeting.
No, I think it's I think the question at hand is in the demo in the document. The dates and the observance of Ramadan is the 18th of February to the 19th of March.
Yeah.
So then the question is just how many meetings were in that time frame, right? And I think what council member is saying is that there's only one meeting that's in that time frame and not 3.
After the Ramadan, the next meeting, I never absent. The only time when I came to a meeting, I was having the flu.
Yes, I'm sorry if I could provide just a little bit more information. So the council did discuss the excusing of the absences. There just was no motion to excuse the 2 absences. This is just a housekeeping item. The state of the town, if you recall, we had to push that back. And so I believe, if I recall correctly, Councilman Clune was not, he was sick that day. So there's really, Councilman Ling was correct. There are 2 absences that fall within Ramadan, and then 1 that is just an illness, according to the records that we have.
I never absent.
Correct. It's just, it was, these are known absences. This was essentially, you were during observing Ramadan, you were not present. So again,
and I attached the religious practice. It's not.
Yeah, that's why I asked an excuse for that.
So I can withdraw the motion.
Right. Just amend. You want to amend the motion?
I'd like to amend the emotion. Amend the motion, not the emotion. The emotion is empathy and forgiveness. Motion to excuse the absence of Councilmember Fallon on February 23rd, 2026, March 2nd, 2026, and March 25th, 2026. And his name's Callan, not Fallon.
Okay.
Apologize.
Second.
Councilmembers, motion by Councilmember Foe. Well, you just amended the motion, and then Councilmember Lingua second the motion. Councilmember Smith, you have a discussion topic on this?
No, I'm good. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Again, this is record keeping, and so this is just so that we have a formal something on the record that we voted on to say that we excused it. In the past, it was just a little gray area where, it's up to the mayor or someone to be aware of it. This just makes it easier for housekeeping. So no issues here. Does that make sense for everyone?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, it does.
Okay, thank you. So with that, we'll go to a roll call vote. If there's no other comments, Councilmember Smith,
Aye.
Councilmember Foe,
Aye.
Councilmember Lingua,
Aye.
Councilmember Warsnott,
Aye.
Councilmember Ramos,
Aye.
Councilmember Cologne. You muted right as you were voting, Councilmember Cologne. Is that an aye or abstain?
What we're voting for?
We're just voting to formally excuse your absence that are listed on these 3 work sessions.
Okay, I say aye.
Okay, I vote aye as well. The motion passes 7-0. All right. Next up, we have another motion. Is there a motion? And then we can discuss it once there's a motion in a second.
Mr. Mayor.
Councilmember.
Motion to excuse the absences of Councilmember Ramos on the April 6, 2026 legislative meeting, the April 13th, 2026 FY 2027 budget public hearing, and the April 20th, 2026 FY 2027 budget public hearing.
Seconded.
Motion by Councilmember Smith and second by Councilmember Foe. Any discussion on the motion?
Mr. Mayor.
Councilmember.
As I understand this provision of the town charter, this is a mechanism for when we have a council member that is disengaged to be able to ensure that that ward has representation on the council. I think, from my perspective, and I think we've all seen since in Councilmember Ramos's time on the council, nothing could be further from the truth. Life happens. Sometimes you can't make it. In this case, it seems to have fallen in consecutive weeks. I think we can be very, as the council member from Ward 2 mentioned, empathetic and accommodating here and excuse these absences. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Councilmember. Any other comments from council?
Just in my defense, sorry, I just want to say
go
the
ahead,
number
please.
that was being texted was a number that I don't have, and I have a new number. So I wasn't aware of these meetings, and I was just going about my day. So I apologize. It's not that I don't want to be involved. I'm more than happy to be involved so I can have all the news and updates with Riverdale. I did let the mayor know when he reached out to me. I was like, what? I don't even know what you're talking about, but he explained to me an old number was being texted. The only reason those messages were being delivered is because they're being sent to an iPad that my daughter uses, and I didn't even know. So I apologize. Please do not think I do not want to be here. I'm more than happy to be here and be affiliated with everyone here. So please take my apology.
Thank you, Councilmember. Councilmember Lingua.
So my understanding is that text messages being sent out about this meeting to Councilmember Ramos were going to a non-existent phone number.
A number that was attached to a device that she's not using.
Okay. It was all right.
But discussions have been had about the full calendar. So the idea is that I think everyone is aware of what our council dates are. I know these budget dates were slightly different in terms of they are on consecutive Mondays, but they are when we approve the budget when we approve the calendar for the council in the beginning of the session, we're clear on what are all the official dates, right? I know Councilmember Ramos wasn't on council for that time frame, but just reminding everyone again that for the most part, it's, legislative meeting at the first Monday of every month. The last Monday of every month is a work session, unless there's a holiday, and we'll move it around. It also includes the state of the town, and it also includes the budget hearings. So everyone has them. But that's the rationale behind that. Okay. Hearing no other comments from council, we'll go to roll call vote. Councilmember Smith,
Aye.
Councilmember Foe,
Aye.
Councilmember Lingua,
I abstain.
Councilmember Worsnop,
Aye.
Councilmember Ramos,
Aye.
Councilmember Colon.
Aye.
I vote aye as well. The motion passes 6-0-1. Okay. Is there a motion to adjourn the meeting?
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Councilmember Foe, second by Councilmember Smith. We don't debate this. We'll go to roll call vote. Councilmember Smith,
Aye.
Councilmember Foe,
Aye.
Councilmember Lingua,
Aye.
Councilmember Worsnop,
Aye.
Councilmember Colon,
Aye.
Councilmember Ramos.
Aye.
I vote aye as well. The motion passes 7-0. We are adjourned at 9:03. Thank you for all.
Good night.
Have a good night.